It's time for the Nebraska Baseball Coaches Show.
Here's the first offering to Stoney as he turns on one into deep right center field. This one's going back, and this ball is gone. We're tied at 3. Tyler Stone goes to deep right center field. It is now your new home run leader for 2025, 8 on the season.
Swung at, looping, toward the left side. Overbeat, giving it a look, and foul ground. Makes it terrific. Backing up, sliding catch, and foul ground. Overbeat gets Nebraska out of jail in the 8th. What a snag by Joshua Overbeek in foul territory. No balls, 2 strikes on Bolan. All 3 Husker runners get their leads. Here's the pitch. Bolan grounds one past the diving first baseman. Carey's going to score, and the Huskers are going to win it 5-4. And for Robbie Bolan, sweet redemption at Hawksfield. The junior from Topeka sends the Husker fans home happy, and the Nebraska Cornhuskers have even this series at a game apiece.
Now with Will Bolt. Here's your host, Ben McLaughlin.
Good evening and welcome to the Nebraska Baseball Radio Hour. Ben McLaughlin joined in studio by Nebraska head baseball coach Will Bolt. 3 for 3, three Big Ten series in a row, and each one's looked a little bit different, and all started a little bit the same with a Friday night loss, but just overall a fantastic weekend at the ball fields, both baseball and softball. Great crowds on both. Weather was finally nice for the home crowd. But, man, you just had to be really pleased with the resolve and resiliency again from your squad after a really tough Friday.
Yeah, we just keep fighting. Been tested with a lot of different things this year and overcome, quite a bit to continue to fight, and just proud of the fight, honestly. 3 in 1 week again, couple weeks in a row of that, stacked a couple of consistent weeks together. And, boy, the way we did it the entire week with the walk-off on Tuesday, and then the response on Friday after looked like we were going to have another walk-off on Friday, us making the late rally there and then wiggling out of a bases-loaded jam. Beak hit a ball to the warning track there. But, yeah, just to bounce back and fight and honestly do what we do. I mean, that's kind of who we are and what we do. And, you don't want to do it the hard way, but when you lose on Friday and you come back and win 3 weeks in a row, it's pretty impressive.
We've got Coach Bolt in studio for the next hour. Taking text tonight if you'd like to be a part of the program, 402-413-2400. We'll get to some text messages later on in the program as well. Well, you started with Tuesday. Let's go there next. K-State's a really good team. They've already beaten us twice. You knew they were going to bring it again to our home field. And, again, kind of felt like just an odd game the way that one unfolded. You felt like you were playing okay. You had the big inning there, and then they get their momentum right back. But then 44 emerged again, and Gabe Swanson's put together a couple of really good weeks now. Unfortunately, this week snapped 2 consecutive weeks in conference with a grand slam, but I think you're still very pleased with what he gave you offensively. But just walk us through the progression of Tuesday's game, particularly the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings.
Yeah, well, it was kind of a back and forth game, and the odd in the way that I think we talked about it post game, where the scoreboard was identical for the first 5 innings maybe, and hits, errors, runs, they score, we score, they score, we score. Felt like we got some separation there in the late innings, and then they answered right back, and that was just a huge win there. We really wanted to put our best foot forward for the week and keep the momentum going from the weekend, and just find a way to do whatever it takes to win, find an excuse to win. And I had a different seat at the end of that game, watching it on the feed in the locker room. But yeah, it was awesome to see just the guys step up and honestly set up the inning. I mean, that's what it takes to win. It takes guys doing the dirty work to get the big swings to happen, and much like setting up his grand slam on Sunday, where it was a few walks, guys gritty, tough at bats, 3-2 counts. Much the same on Tuesday with DC leading off with a base hit, and then just grinding through some at bats there and picking each other up. Honestly, picking each other up. Bases loaded, 1 out. Didn't get the runs in then, but he came up ready to hit. And a great send by Coach Siri at third base, and good to have 3 what we call green runners on base because they were all able to get around the bases.
Nick and I were talking about that. I think maybe it was a 1-0 pitch that Swanson hit, but it might have been in between the at-bats that you couldn't really hand-pick better runners than what you had out there. And obviously, Brum needs to read it well. And I think there's an underrated part to that play that we haven't talked about yet, and that's base running angles. Something that you guys work on a ton every day, I know, before batting practice. But when you're not taking good angles around the bases, that's the difference between safe and out. Walk us through, Brumbaugh and his ability to run the bases. And when people say base running, they think just maybe stolen bases, but there's an art to it. Yeah,
and there's a reason he leads our team in runs scored. He knows his way around and getting from A to B. And it's not just how fast your 40 time is or your 60 time is. It's a lot of little nuances with the game and getting down the line. And we try to run in as straight a line as possible. I know you really, if you get too far, making, we call like that banana route, it's wasted steps. So we try to get to each base as fast as possible and kind of lean our bodies into the next base and hit the inside part of the bag and all those things. And just a great job there by him of just and not assuming either, right? That's the other part of it, is he had the heart to go score that run. You don't assume that, or you don't have to shift gears when you see, Siri bringing you. He was ready to score. He wanted to score, wanted to get around the bases. And I think we caught their shortstop off guard a little bit maybe. He didn't think maybe the ball didn't go to the wall. It was a good teaching point for our players too. And, talk to DC and, Brum and Stokes and some of those guys and said, hey, what led to, that high throw potentially? And obviously us putting pressure on him led to it. Maybe he was caught a little off guard. But you got to you teach the infielder on that ball down the left field line to stay inside the baseline there, because then you don't have to throw over the runner's head. And he caught the ball right on top of the line and a little flat-footed and kind of rushed, and the throw sailed. And so the fortune favors the bold, and it did in that situation.
I want to talk about DC. He and there are some other guys that we'll talk about later in the show. His ability to set up innings this week, really all week, was exceptional. He did it with the base hit against K-State. I think it was hit by a pitch at one point to start an inning. Everyone's going to point to the home run, which was a game-changing play. I know he'd love to be hitting over 300 and maybe have more home runs, but it's hard to imagine where we'd be without him. Yeah, and there's still season left, right, for him to continue to play his best baseball, and I think he is playing his best baseball right now. I think what you've seen him do is control his heart rate in the box a little better, and his breath and his routine. I think he, at times, and it's human nature, is just, sometimes just to get sped up, right? Like just try to get right back in the box and not really take your time. And it's been a point of emphasis for us, and he's definitely done a great job of that of late, just controlling his heart rate. And that allows you to make fundamentally sound decisions, swing decisions, allows you to see the baseball, allows you to not focus on result that could happen. It allows you not to focus on the previous pitch. It allows you just to be very, very present. And he's done a good job of that of late. It's something that he's battled, and he's made a point of emphasis lately to do those things at a very high level. And I think it's paid off for him. You probably don't want to make a habit of falling behind in every game, but when you did that this week, you guys were able to come back and have that counterpunch that you've talked so much about this year. And I think, to me, when I think back to how these games kind of unfolded, obviously guys getting on base late in games, but when you set up innings, when you're late in games, when you get that leadoff guy on base, what's that do for the dugout when that first guy gets on, and that belief factor from everybody else in the inning? It's important, and it certainly is important at the end of games. It is a massive importance throughout the game as well. I mean, the statistics say you get the leadoff hitter on, you got a much better shot, and for us, it opens up the offense. We get a chance to bunt for a hit, to put pressure on the defense, steal a base, hit and run, some of those things, and it just, and then you have the opposition kind of hoping and guessing what you might do. You saw it this weekend a couple of times, second and third. They were expecting bunt late in the game, and we swung away, and there were all kinds of holes open on the field. So just having those kind of things, there. I know when you get the leadoff hitter on the other side of it, you feel that much better as well.
So yeah, just in those situations, what really wins on leadoff at bats is just working the count and also hitting a flat ball. Obviously, a leadoff home run would be great, but a flat ball to the middle of the yard plays 7 days a week. But in that situation, that's really how you, and that's what Dylan did in that situation. Hard line drive over the shortstop's head, didn't get too big, didn't try to do too much. He drew a walk. It was a 3-2 walk, I believe, on Saturday.
Right above the zone.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a pro take.
Yeah, absolutely. So those things are huge.
And then obviously, the guys follow behind it too. And I think as much confidence as it gives your dugout, you could see it on the faces of the K-State pitchers. The doubt started creeping in on their end too, and that sped them up, and I think that all led to ultimately a Husker win on Tuesday. Contact 811 2 days before you dig to protect your underground utilities and yourself. It's free, it's easy, it's the law. We'll take our first break. We'll get into the weekend series with Minnesota with Coach Bold after this.
It's employee pricing with the Ford crew.
Employee pricing across a full lineup.
Fun fact, Hank, Ford assembles the most vehicles in the country.
Another fun fact, everyone pays what we pay.
So, you get employee pricing. You get employee pricing. You get employee pricing.
Stem.
Yeah?
Everyone gets employee pricing.
You get employee pricing.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing, you pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
Hi, I'm Tom Osborne, former football coach and co-founder of the Teammates Mentoring Program.
And I'm Des Moines Adams, Husker Black Shirt and CEO of Teammates Mentoring.
We are recruiting teammates mentors and need caring adults to be in the lives of our students.
Meeting with a student once a week at the school can make a positive impact in their life and have a ripple effect in our communities.
Please join our team.
Go to teammates.org today.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Nebraska Lottery.
Hey, I heard Trucks and Bucks is back.
Yes, sir. And this year you could win one of 8 new great trucks. People from around the state just love this game.
They do?
You bet. Just this morning, I got calls from excited players in Burwell, Sutton, Falls City, and Ralston.
Well, you can add Wilbur to the list.
You're from Wilbur?
No, that's my name.
Oh.
Hey, if you get a call from Alma, that's my aunt.
That's her name?
No, that's where she lives.
Trucks and Bucks top prize odds are 1 in 336,000.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light, you might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Triple B Feed has the products to help your cows thrive. Whether it's weekly delivery of consumption-controlled Lumix liquid mineral with protein or Sweet Pro block supplements for space feeding, while also stretching your forages up to 25% better, Triple B has you covered. Let Brian and Brad Blauhorn take some of the stress out of your beef production this year. For more information and other products, visit triplebfeed.com. Triple B Feed, helping you and your cattle.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and more. Akrs solutions for every field. Also need to thank our friends at Woodhouse. They've been a trusted partner in you every day since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse, the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Ben McLaughlin joined in studio by Nebraska head coach Will Bolt. Well, let's get into Friday's game. I know you were particularly unhappy with the fly ball outs on Friday, and a lot of times we think we know what we're seeing up there, and a lot of times we're not validated in what we think until we talk to you. But we're saying the same things in the commercial breaks, just a lot of lazy fly balls, and just couldn't find the barrel for whatever reason on Friday. That was frustrating, but you fought back into it. You overcame it in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. Overbeat just a massive 2-out home run to make it doable. And you kind of said it in the first segment. Felt like it was ours for the taking after that, and just kind of ended up getting your heart ripped out. What was your perspective of Friday's game and how the guys handled that? Yeah, it was frustrating. It was a game that, again, we wanted to continue the momentum into the weekend, and felt like we had done enough. I mean, we had used a lot of our leverage arms, but we had gotten a lot of their leverage arms in the game. And you do that on a Friday night in your ballpark and you find a way to win, then you really set yourself up to sweep. And come to find out, we set ourselves up to win the next two, but we really had that chance there. And like I said, I mean, Beek took a good swing with the bases loaded, flew out to the warning track. Opposite field. And, again, the ballpark just played pretty big too. I mean, all weekend, honestly, the ballpark played pretty big. So the balls weren't flying out of the yard, but we just were underneath, and it was just, there were a lot of, lazy fly balls is what it was. Pop-ups and just miss hits, and not real committed to the swing. And that's something that we've talked about here over the course of the last 20 or so games. We've been really, really improved at the committed swings and being on the heater and just everything kind of being predicated off that. I give Minnesota's staff credit for how they pitched us. I thought they pitched us pretty tough all weekend. We just didn't really string much together on Friday until the very end. And, the other games were a bit like that as well. But tough loss. Obviously, you get your closer in the game. And, we went for it down a run because we thought we had a run in us. And you tie it up and you're right there. And, they had the big hit. And it was elusive for us all night. I don't know if people understand. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You lose the first game, it's really hard to win a series after that. Northwestern, you had to sweep a doubleheader. Maryland, you had to win 2 on the road. You think about where we were with our bullpen. I know they were in a similar situation after Friday, but you're showing up to the yard on Saturday going, man, we have to win today. We have to win today. And we've done that 3 straight weeks to weather that storm. What's that say about your guys? And particularly on the other side, too, you know how bad Minnesota wanted it. They threw the exact same 4 relievers. I've never seen that before. They throw their most 4 high-leverage guys Friday and Saturday. You could tell both teams really wanted that one on Saturday. Yeah, it shows resolve and toughness, and that's a word that we use all the time with our program. And there were some moments maybe early in the season, maybe especially when we kind of
we're without a couple of our guys where it was like, man, we're just kind of down in the dumps about losing Mason and, not having Tucker and just things not going our way. We just didn't maybe overcome some of those things early in the season like we should have. But really, honestly, we've just stayed in the fight for most of the year, despite some of this stuff that's gone on. And it's hard to do. Like you said, it doesn't matter who you're playing, where you're playing, what the circumstances are. It's very, very difficult to lose the first game and come back and win the next two. I'd like to stop making a habit of that because you can't sweep a series if you don't win on Friday. But yeah, it shows some resolve, toughness, resilience, and the guys are fighting. They're fighting hard.
How has Will handled this? He obviously pitched very well against Iowa. A couple of starts before that, a couple of starts after that haven't been Will Walsh-esque. You're going to need him. I mean, You need him from this point moving forward. Friday's not a role you expected him to pitch in February, and he's kind of been that sacrificial lamb for us, for lack of a better phrase. How has he handled a handful of starts that haven't gone particularly well?
Yeah, Will's the same guy every day. So, I mean, he's going to go about his business and his work and, he's not going to get too high or too low. You don't really ever hear him say a whole lot unless you really, go up and talk to him, and then he's got a lot of good thoughts and on a lot of different things. But he's a professional. He wants to do what it takes to help the team win, and he's seen the ups and downs of it throughout his career as a Husker. I mean, the number of injuries he's had to overcome is well documented up to this point. Just him being a two-way guy now. There's been times where I've been close to giving him an at-bat, or I've been close to putting him at first base. Especially with the Stoney and Sandy DH combination there. But yeah, he just wants to take the ball and help us win. And when he got bounced from the rotation early in the season, he pitched really well out of the bullpen for us. But like you said, for us to make a run, Will Walsh has got to be squarely in the middle of our success, regardless of where that is.
Has there been thoughts of changing things up or giving him just a different look? Sometimes you drop a guy in the order and he hits better. Sometimes you give a guy a day off. Has there been any discussion about that with Will?
Yeah, we'll start Will tomorrow, actually, against Creighton. So, he'll get the ball right away, just only a couple days to think about it. He only threw like 40 pitches, I think, on Friday. So he'll get the start. We'll look at it as, hey, let's just get us off to a great start and, just see where that takes us. And obviously we're going to want him for the weekend as well. But he's going to start on Tuesday, get the ball right back. And, I thought his stuff on Friday was better and his command was better than it had been the previous 2-3 weeks, previous month or so. Changeup was going again. That's something that we really wanted to get going. I thought his stuff was pretty good. Fastball location could have been better, though. And so that's going to be the key to his success, is not just throwing strikes, but the fastball into the right-handed hitter, it needs to be in. It needs to be off the plate in, get some weak contact, and then that really sets up the other pitches.
We've talked ad nauseum about Robbie Bolan on the air the last couple of weeks, really ever since I think he was brought in as a defensive replacement against Creighton, ended up with an at-bat, and got a hustle double on a ball to right field. And really ever since that point, he's gotten the Max Butenbach treatment. Right. Hasn't been able to take him out of the lineup.
Yeah.
I remember being on some radio shows around the state before a game started saying, don't just assume everyday starters that were in the lineup last year are going to be it. Robbie was the guy I was alluding to with his ability to do everything for you. Took him a little while, I think, maybe to adjust, and you had other guys that were hitting well. Silva went through a hot stretch there. What has he brought to the team? Obviously the hero on Saturday, but beyond that hit, what he's brought to the team?
Yeah, he provides a spark. He's a guy that he's one of our fastest players. He can handle the bat with the bunt game, and he's a guy that's just a high energy player. He's got great bounce in his step and runs the bases hard and plays with emotion and just really tries to get his guys fired up all the time. And I appreciate that. I think that's important to have on a team. Not just because what that shows is that you're focused on others and not just what you're doing. And so he's provided that spark for us and played great defense. And we've played him in all three outfield spots. Really tracked the ball down. Saw him make a couple of great plays in right field to get us off the field. plays up against the fence, and Robin hits out there. I think on Friday night maybe again with Christo on the mound. Huge play. I mean, first batter Christo faces, line drive up the middle. He takes away a base hit that would have scored a run, maybe 2. So, yeah, he's played really well. And it was good to see both him and Silva spark us there. Still got on base twice in those late innings. Leadoff walk on 1. Leadoff 2-strike hit there in the 9th, I believe it was, or the 8th, for us to kind of pull away in that game. So, yeah, Bolan's played great. And again, the more guys that we have we can feed off of each other, the better. And he's provided a big spark that way.
For those that listened to the game on Saturday, probably could sense my frustration. They had a lot of dinking hits, and sometimes baseball is that way.
Right.
Robbie, I think, had 4 barrels that game, 3 or 4 balls where he was just hitting rockets right at guys. Obviously, you heard the final call of redemption for him.
Sure.
He finally got it done, and a 2-strike fastball that was tough to handle. But the resiliency of your guys, I think we talk about this maybe once every 3 pregame shows. You can't always control where the balls go, but he wasn't pouting. He didn't feel sorry for himself. And when he's 2 strikes on him, it looked like an at-bat in the top of the first.
Yeah, he was very confident. They made the pitching change, and we were already on deck, before he went up there talking about what we were going to do to celebrate, and some of those things. So he's got a lot of confidence, and, just moving the ball with 2 strikes, that's why it's paramount. And I think over the course of the last 10 games, we have more walks and hit by pitch than we have strikeouts. So we're doing a much better job that way. And it shows up in those clutch moments when you can just put pressure on the defense.
Sunday's game felt, to me, up there, it felt like, I don't know if the guys sensed this, but every inning that we didn't score kind of felt like there was more pressure on him the next inning because that guy seemed to settle in. Scary moment. He took a line shot off his hand. Thankfully, didn't hit his face. And not only was he able to weather that storm, but he got probably what Minnesota wanted and some on Sunday, but eventually got him out of the game, and then the offense took over from there.
Yeah, I'll give their starter credit. He was really good on Sunday, and we had some to do with that, but left-handed, getting the ball to his glove side consistently, and getting kind of inside our swings at times, and then he'd run the ball off the plate. It was a lot of fastballs, and I mean he was still throwing 92 miles an hour in his last inning of work, which was, I guess, the 5th or 6th. He had thrown 5 innings on Wednesday, so we weren't sure how far he was going to go, but man, he showed no signs of fatigue. I mean, you got a left-handed pitcher that's going 90, 92, and using both sides of the plate with a fastball, you're doing something well. And so, yeah, he had his way with us for most of the game, and huge crowd, incredibly quiet because we just really didn't do much to get the crowd excited in a 0-0 game. And but yeah, I mean, we just stayed in the fight, and just once we got to their bullpen, again, because we had done some things on Friday and Saturday to make them use leverage arms, they're bringing guys back again. And we did a good job of capitalizing.
You mentioned the crowds. Something that I wanted to bring up tonight was something that we don't talk about enough. The culture you've established with your program. You guys break it down family. We obviously experienced it a ton with Sharpie, Katie Jewell throughout the first pitch. I mean, I'm seeing Dave Clark down there, back there today, or all weekend. He's going to be there again tomorrow. I look in Nick's kids down there hanging out with Jeske. My daughter's down there, and it just seems like that culture that you've established is trickling down to your players, and you see those guys interacting with our kids and fans, and it seems like some of this culture is really embraced, and I think with that, people are latching onto your program because they're sensing it from your guys. When you kind of just take a step back, and it's hard to do that in the season when we're talking about grinding and two-strike approach and all that stuff, is there a sense of pride that sinks in when you see that kind of stuff?
Yeah, of course. And I think, you have that atmosphere in your program and around your program. It eases the pain on some of the hard times, right? Like when you got a bunch of good kids, and we see it every day with our, my son Austin and Bodie Harvell,
right. Out there shagging DP.
And our guys are unbelievable with them, and they do just such a great job with kids in general, and just they're good kids. They work hard, they play hard, and I want our fans to come to our games and say, hey, those guys gave it everything they had, and whether we win or lose, these guys they're fighting. They're tough. They're scrapping. They want it. And you know, like I said, we've been tried in a lot of different ways, but you know, we got a lot of high character young men. They're great in the classroom. They're great in the community. They're great leaders. They're going to be really good when they leave our program and do something other than baseball. And yeah, that's the most important piece for me as a coach, because that's really, I know the experiences I had here and the coaches I played for instilled that in us. It gave us awesome opportunities and a winning mindset.
Great stuff. Coach Bolt with us here on the Nebraska Baseball Radio Hour. Time now for our Nebraska Lottery Baseball Trivia question. The first person to text the correct answer to 402-413-2400 will receive $100 in Nebraska Lottery scratch tickets. Here's tonight's question. 2 Huskers are tied for the most hits in a single season at Nebraska with 109. Name one of the two. One of the 2 Huskers with the most hits in a single season at Nebraska. 109 is your number. First person to text in that answer will get a prize from the Nebraska Lottery. We'll take a break. We got more with Coach coming up.
It's employee pricing with the Ford crew.
Employee pricing across a full lineup.
Fun fact, Hank, Ford assembles the most vehicles in the country.
Another fun fact, everyone pays what we pay.
So, you get employee pricing. You get employee pricing. You get employee pricing.
STEM.
Yeah?
Everyone gets employee pricing.
You get employee pricing.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing, you pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
Nebraska soybeans power everyday products, from Goodyear tires and Skechers shoes to soy-based turf and fire suppressants. These innovations replace petroleum and utilize other components of the soybean, leading to more sustainable products worldwide.
I'm Doug Sadoff, a farmer near Trumbull, Nebraska. Thanks to cutting-edge research, soybeans are now in everything from tires to turf. It's amazing to see how these advancements are unlocking new potential for our crops.
Soybeans are a win for every product and everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your crawl space and damaging your home. Musty smells, sagging floors, mold are just a few signs your crawl space is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns: a free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
No need to hunt around for friendly service, low prices, quality products, and great experiences. You'll find it all with the local experts, Sapp Brothers Petroleum. If you're tired of tracking down another late delivery, it's time to consider Sapp Brothers, where we pride ourselves on delivering products on time or even ahead of schedule, with your safety our top priority. Switching is easy. Just shoot us an email or give us a call. And right now, when you contact Sapp Brothers for any of your fuel, propane, or lubricant needs, you'll be entered to win a guided pheasant hunt next fall. Visit sappbros.net/Huskers.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Dear Truckin' Awesome. Want more horsepower in the stable? The Tundra iForce Max is the most powerful Tundra ever. With its electrifying twin-turbo V6, you got everything you need. Saddle up the Tacoma TRD Pro. Its segment-first performance seats are designed to smooth out the shocks when the ride gets bumpy. The Toyota 4Runner is part mean streak, part wild side, and an all-around icon. Check out that signature power rear window, will ya? Yes, sir, Toyota trucks. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Life doesn't come with guarantees, but working with Rob Seco comes pretty close.
Our strategic investments in the seed we offer are designed to directly improve your bottom line. From full trait platforms, breeding and development, to field-by-field planning and seed-driven crop inputs, with Rob Seco, you have precisely what you need to improve plant performance and increase yield. Every farm, every crop, and every acre. Learn more at robseco.com.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
If there's one thing Nebraska's known for, it's our beef. And Nebraska soybeans feed a lot of them, and even more pigs and chickens.
I'm Jason Pinky, a farmer near Craig, Nebraska. Soybeans are vital for feeding our livestock, and they're also a powerhouse protein source for people worldwide. Our world needs protein, and Nebraska soybeans are making a difference.
From tailgate grills to global plates, farmers deliver affordable, nutritious protein to build muscle and energy for everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
Congratulations to Brandon in Omaha. He knew that Jeff Lizey and Francis Collins, the single-season hit record at Nebraska with 109. You look at Lizey and you're like, how did that dude do it? You know, like, he was so good.
Yeah.
And the thump, I didn't realize, the bobble had all the statistics on the side. I didn't realize he had that many dingers.
Yeah, he did. He was, he never hit home runs in batting practice ever. Like, there's never really a thought that, like, this guy's got any slug in there, but he looks exactly the same now as he did then. Yeah, he was a heck of a player for us, and an awesome outfielder, and obviously great in the classroom, and a team captain, I think, his senior year. So just unbelievable player, great teammate, great leader, done some awesome things. Kind of what we were talking about earlier, right? Just like the success that our coaches set us up for, just because the demands were so high to do everything right. He's certainly came in with a lot of that already, but being surrounded by a bunch of dudes like Jeff Lizey, man, that guy could really, really, really hit.
Well, and what's funny is you look at our team and a lot of other college baseball teams now. I'm thinking of teams like Rutgers, for example, 6'3", 210, 6'2", 200. 6'5", 240. I mean, guys that could play college football,
right?
And they look at Jeff Lizey going, "That guy was an All-American. That guy was an All-American." But college baseball was different back then.
Yeah, and he wasn't. Again, it kind of talking about the guys that don't. He probably wasn't going to light up the 60 time either. But he was really, really fast. His first couple steps, he could steal bases and get around the bases really well. So I don't want to keep talking him up too much. I don't want to get his head too big. He's already got the bobblehead now and all that stuff. So love you, Jeff.
Well, let's talk about what's ahead. Obviously, a big one tomorrow with Creighton, and I know the fans get excited for this one every year. Last one for Ed Service. That's weird to say. But I know the guys are kind of chomping at the bit to get right back on it tomorrow.
Yeah, no, we want to keep the momentum going, and knowing that if we finish strong, that there's a lot of stuff in front of us, and we want to put our best foot forward with a new week, new opportunities, and expect a really good crowd, and let's get loud, let's get rowdy in Haymarket, and last 4 home games of the year. Weather's going to be great. Really want to call on the crowd to really propel us here in these last 4 games.
Yeah, I would echo that 100%. And I feel like this kind of happens organically every year, and I feel like maybe this last weekend it kind of happened. You kind of get that sense of urgency, that kind of almost postseason type feel. I felt like this was the first time this last weekend that you have it. Everybody kind of knows what's on the line. You don't even really talk about it. But I felt like you kind of got a little taste of that this last weekend. You're getting that sense from the guys. School's almost over. They can for Stowe, I think school might be over. I think he finished a little early, but where their sole focus is on baseball, and for these seniors, this is it.
Right. Yeah, best time of the year. You're getting school stuff out of the way, and we've been playing, we talked about it probably 3 weeks ago, like, hey, this is playoff baseball here. Like, we need to treat every game like, it's do or die. And, you look up and we put together a really good stretch of baseball and see to keep that going.
Had a question come in on the YouTube about base running and guys getting caught stealing. And I know it's been a pain point of frustration for you at times, but you also have speed on your team, and that's how Nebraska's always been, or at least since you've been the head coach. Walk through us maybe just base running philosophy that you have, and especially with specific guys that that they can cause some damage and get some free 90s and get some free runs with base running.
Yeah, I think we're certainly not perfect, and you're going to have some mistakes in there when you're preaching aggression. Dirt ball read. No problem with Nunez getting thrown out on a dirt ball.
We thought it was the right
I honestly thought he got in there. Probably inconclusive on overturning that call, but the not freezing on a line drive is frustrating. We've that's a couple times that's happened here. And early in the season, we got picked off a bunch, and we were maybe over the top aggressive early in the season, and not really allowing some of these big innings to happen for ourselves because of that. It's just, it's part of a learning curve for some guys that some of them are getting their first playing time regularly at this level. Others are veterans that, needed to clean some things up probably. But I do think over the course of the last month and a half, we've cleaned up a lot of this stuff. Again, not perfect, but we're going to teach aggression. We're going to want guys to fill up we call it the grit board, and that's stealing third, and that's bunt base hits, and that's just pressure plays. But you got to be smart as well. So, we not freezing on a line drive, getting back picked, those things can't happen. But there's going to be a bit of, give and take with some of those things.
Hey, Husker, stop by your local Hy-Vee where they've lowered the prices of thousands of items you use every day. Hy-Vee dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier. We'll step aside. Last break. We'll finish it up with Coach Bolt next.
Nebraska Lottery.
Hey, I heard Trucks and Bucks is back.
Yes, sir. And this year you could win one of 8 new gray trucks. People from around the state just love this game.
They do?
You bet. Just this morning, I got calls from excited players in Burwell, Sutton, Falls City, and Ralston.
Well, you can add Wilbur to the list.
You're from Wilbur?
No, that's my name.
Oh.
Hey, if you get a call from Alma, that's my aunt.
That's her name?
No, that's where she lives.
Trucks and Bucks top prize odds are 1 in 336,000.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts. It's employee pricing with the Ford crew.
Employee pricing across a full lineup.
Fun fact, Hank, Ford assembles the most vehicles in the country.
Another fun fact, everyone pays what we pay.
So, you get employee pricing. You get employee pricing. You get employee pricing.
Sam.
Yeah?
Everyone gets employee pricing.
You get employee pricing.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing, you pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
Husker fans, it's game day, and Pizza Hut's got your perfect play. Score the game day special for just $29.99. Get 2 medium 3-topping pizzas, 8 boneless wings, and 5 breadsticks. Enough to feed 8 hungry fans. Pizza, wings, breadsticks, and more. It's the ultimate lineup to fuel your game day. Check out the full menu online at pizzahut.com or in store. Because remember, no one out-pizzas the Hut.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. One final segment with Coach Bolt. Ben McLaughlin, Coach Bolt with you. Creighton tomorrow, and then right back on it, home series with Michigan. Trying to remember the last time they were here. Was that might have been 19? Was that the last time they were here?
No, we played them here because they hit 4 straight home runs.
We still won.
Yeah, we still won that game. Yeah, that was a crazy
That
game.
was incredible. I remember that now.
Yeah, that was 22, maybe. And they were here in 21 also because that was immaculate inning.
Yeah, with Povich.
With Povich, yeah.
Man, that 19 series was electric, though. And then we turned around and played them the next week right there in the Big Ten tournament. Schwelly went nuts offensively that time of the year, but the immaculate inning. By the way, how cool was that to see Povich? I'm sure you and Nick talked about it last week, but I didn't have a good chance to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
To be at a big league ballpark, first of all, it's just a different feel. But then to look down there and see, we were watching him warm up in front of the bullpen. Like, he's warming up to pitch in the big league. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and he belongs, right? I mean, he looks the part. He's gotten more physical over the years, and man, he put on a show for us. That was cool for our guys to be able to be there. And like you said, just go to a big league ball game, for it to line up that Cade Povich is there. That was pretty sweet, and he pitched awesome.
Yeah, really cool for Cade. And, man, he was such a big part to what we did that year. And to see him, the fruits of that labor is really cool. And probably a message for these other guys, too, saying, this guy started in junior college and came here, worked his butt off, and now look. I mean, it's probably resonated with some of your players.
Yeah, success leaves clues, and that guy, I told the story to our players, a lot of them, like, hey, he acted like a professional from the day that he stepped foot on campus. Like, he acted the way he was very diligent, and even just taking in other players' bullpens and trying to learn from them and learn from the coaches, and just really a student of the game. I mean, there's no coincidence and the type of kid that he is, and he bet on himself his whole career, and very fortunate to have Coach Cade.
So you say that, and I got to tell a funny story because I was lucky enough to see him after the game, and we chit-chatted, and exactly what you were saying about picking pitchers' brains. He told this story about an off-season workout he had with Aaron Bummer. Was obviously pitched in the big leagues a long time, and he said, Aaron made it about 2 sentences in, and then he lost me. And so for about 5 minutes, I just stood there and acted like I knew what he was talking about. I had utterly no idea what he was talking about. But again, speaking of to what you were just saying a minute ago, completely changing gears here before we wrap up. I am so impressed with your defense right now. The infield defense has been phenomenal. Overbeek has just been exceptional. In the open, you heard the great catch he made in foul territory. He saved maybe 3 or 4 runs this weekend with his glove. Obviously, the middle infield has been solid. Brumbaugh's really come along nicely in that second base spot, and I know you're very happy with the way both Stone and Sanderson have played first base. We've already talked about DC's defense, and then certainly in the outfield too. It's just you got Sylvan center and Bolan and right. Any ball on that side, you feel like it's just going to get caught.
Yeah, and Butenbeck made 2 awesome plays in right field.
Probably saved 4 runs by himself.
Right on Friday. Yeah, that's a big part of it is just, and you've heard me talk about this before, it's like you have to be selfless to play good defense because you can't be focused on, offense. You can't be thinking about, you have to be very focused to play good defense. And we've had some lapses from time to time, but over the course of a season, again, especially when we weren't swinging the bats worth a darn early, to stay focused and play solid defense. You just got to keep at it. It comes from reps. It comes from mindset. We've got good athletes, good players, and they've done a nice job. And like you said, it's not just 1 or 2 of them. It's been all of them.
And the other thing that it does is helps the guy on the mound. We saw that in College Park. Robbie robs the homer, and Ty comes in and just starts pounding the zone. Makes the pitcher pitch a little more free when you got leather behind you.
Yeah, no doubt. And it gets them on attack and on their toes.
All right, so let's walk through how you feel right now about the bullpen. Friday, I know, got a little hairy with what you had to use. Tucker came back and throws 3 innings for you and is able to finish it, which was huge. Broderick pitched again yesterday. Kind of a clean slate, but still just 24 hours ago, worrying about a game. How do you feel right now about how the week sets up?
Well, we're pitching it as well as we have all season. And again, the roles have come much more clearly defined. Again, not who's necessarily getting the ball when, but just the dispersion of the innings with Timmerman's return. I mean, it just covers up a lot. Just having another guy that can throw multiple innings in a game, that's one less that the next guy's got to throw. He feels a little fresher. The usage of Christo's been a little, there for a while. We rode him, it seemed like every game, Broderick as well. So it just, the roles start to fall into place. And I said it, in post-game, the bullpen was the reason that we won the game on Sunday.
And another guy that has come up for us in so many big situations the last 3 weeks has been Grant Clevenger. He's not asked to shoulder the same amount of workload as Christo or Broderick, but the outs he's required to get, maybe you circle on your scorecard the 2 or 3 biggest of the game.
Yeah, they're the most high leverage situations of the game that we're putting him in. It's with traffic, it's with bases loaded, it's with runners in scoring position. And he has been awesome. I mean, not just good, but great in that role. And he got the left and the right-handed hitters out in his outing here on Sunday, and I alluded to it in the postgame. I mean, that was a massive moment in the game. They've already got a couple of runs in. It's 3-1. They punch another couple across or take a big swing. Now you're fighting an uphill battle for a 4 or 5 spot, and he kept us there. And really, we got some momentum from that.
And you told us before the year when we visited, you have a lot of confidence in Grant Clevenger. Maybe took a little while for it to manifest in a game, but again, almost hard to imagine some scenarios without him.
Yeah, no doubt. And he's covered up a lot of stuff, gotten us off the field, and made some really, really big pitches.
All right, final home week of the year, Senior Day. I know that's looked a little bit different now from maybe when you even played with the COVID year, and I think we're finally almost done with that. But transfer portal, all that kind of stuff. But I know it's a super important week for you and the staff, and obviously for the players too. Last time they get to play at Hawks Field.
Yeah, it can be an emotional weekend, and I still remember Senior Day when I played. It was kind of a tough. The emotion of it, knowing that the finality of it, and just some of those things. But yeah, once the game starts, all you're thinking about is finding a way to win. And we got a lot of guys that we're going to honor that have been part of Championship Ball Club here at Nebraska. And there's still a lot of uncertainty with a lot of this stuff and what our rosters are going to look like moving forward. What some of the rulings are of this House settlement. We'll honor the guys that are listed as seniors on the roster. I mean, I think that's because of this COVID stuff. It's kind of gotten a little skewed at times. So if they're listed as seniors on the roster, we'll honor them, and there may be some guys that can still come back.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it.
Coach Bolt here with us. It's our Nebraska Baseball Radio Hour here on the Huskers Radio Network. Big thanks to Coach for coming in. Again, tomorrow night, Nebraska in Creighton. Regular season finale of the in-state rivalry and the last midweek game of the year. Hard to believe we're saying that already in the early portions of May. That's going to do it for us. Big thanks to everyone that was a part of this one. Hour 1 of Sports Nightly in the books. Hour 2 is coming up next. We'll talk to you again next week.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Your next vehicle is waiting for you at Woodhouse. With over 20 locations and a variety of brands, Woodhouse offers everything from reliable trucks to family-friendly SUVs. Whether you're looking for a Nissan, Mazda, or Infiniti, our team is here to help you find the perfect fit. Enjoy a seamless car buying experience with our expert staff and exceptional service. Visit Woodhouse today, where quality, selection, and customer satisfaction come first. Or get started online at woodhouse.com.
No need to hunt around for friendly service, low prices, quality products, and great experiences. You'll find it all with the local experts, Sapp Brothers Petroleum. If you're tired of tracking down another late delivery, it's time to consider Sapp Brothers, where we pride ourselves on delivering products on time or even ahead of schedule, with your safety our top priority. Switching is easy. Just shoot us an email or give us a call. And right now, when you contact Sapp Brothers for any of your fuel, propane, or lubricant needs, you'll be entered to win a guided pheasant hunt next fall. Visit sappbros.net/Huskers.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
Good evening. I'm Camden Cohn, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. Earlier today, Husker softball star Jordy Ball was named Big Ten Pitcher of the Week by the conference. She went 2-0 this weekend with a perfect ERA and only allowed one ball out of the infield, which resulted in a flyout. It's the fifth time Ball's won the award this season, tied for the second most in conference history. In other Husker news, Nebraska women's basketball picked up their fourth transfer of the season in Claire Johnson. Johnson averaged 12 points, just over 2 rebounds, and 2 assists a game with Samford as a freshman. She also shot 40% from three-point range. Nebraska Athletic Director Troy Dannon was named to the College Football Playoff Selection Committee today. Dannon will serve a 3-year term with the committee. And finally, there are 2 more playoff games in the NBA today. Currently, the Celtics lead the Knicks 48-39 in the second quarter. And later tonight at 8:30, the Thunder host the Nuggets. Our sports ticker is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. Call a timeout if you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Hour 2 of Sports Nightly is up next, right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
No balls, 2 strikes on Bolan. All 3 Husker runners get their leads. Here's the pitch. Bolan grounds one past the diving first baseman. Carey's going to score. And the Huskers are going to win it 5-4. And for Robbie Bolan, sweet redemption at Hawksfield. Swung at, looping toward the left side. Overbeat, giving it a look at foul ground. Makes a terrific sliding catch at foul ground. Overbeat gets Nebraska out of jail in the 8th. What a snag by Joshua Overbeek in foul territory.
Now the 1-2 from Booker, and Cusack blasts this one deep left center, and gone! A 2-run home run for Ava Cusack to finish off the home season with a Bolan blast and a run rule win for the Huskers over the Terps.
Now, here are your hosts, Jessica Coody and Nick Hanley, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Welcome back, hour number 2. Happy Monday to you. If you were wondering why Camden was giggling, if you didn't hear me, I was hollering because, and I'm wearing the shirt tonight, Oklahoma City Thunder. You know, I'm a big Thunder fan, and taking on the Nuggets as they open up the series tonight, and feeling pretty good about it. You know, Emmett Johnson is a huge Minnesota Timberwolves fan, and he's talking all kinds of trash. So I'm it's made me even more competitive going into this series.
I'm an Ant-Man fan, so
a lot of people are.
I have no dog in the race on this one. I really don't. If the Chicago Bulls aren't active in it, then I don't really care. But I do like the way Ant-Man plays. A huge Anthony Edwards fan. So, and you know, Minnesota. What about 7 hours from Oklahoma City compared to about 6 hours from the Twin Cities?
I don't know. Well, okay. It takes about 6 hours to get 6.5 probably to get here from here to Oklahoma City.
Okay, so we're about the same proximity-wise. So I guess that I can't really say, well, it's closer. Minnesota's closer to Omaha, but yeah, you know, a buddy of mine used to work in marketing for the T-Wolves. So sorry, Jess. I'm going to pull for Minnesota.
Listen, they got to get past the Warriors first. I'm not too concerned with the Nuggets on OKC's side of it, so we'll see. It's both teams have to win to advance, but. You know, he's just started talking all kinds of trash, and so I'm just hoping they don't even make it to play the Thunder. Because I am a little bit Anthony Edwards, man. He is what the kids like to say. He's a dog. You know, he's a little scary, especially this time of year.
Yes, very much so. So yeah, you know, hey, if they face each other, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I've got nothing against Oklahoma City either, so if you're happy with it, that keeps you in a good mood and very productive, then hey, then go Thunder. Let's go.
Thunder up. Thunder up. Hey, there was a text that came in that I don't think Ben was able to get to, but Brandon in Omaha said he loved the uniforms yesterday for baseball. I love those black accents, and apparently the black unis are coming back soon.
Yeah, and so the the first guy to come out of the entrance that goes into the clubhouse at Haymarket Park was Colin Cymbalista, and he had some of his gear on still for his catching gear on. But I had to do a double take. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, I know they got the black accents, but they're going with the white uniforms with the black accessories. And it took me a few seconds, and then I thought, yeah, I like that. It's a clean look. I'm all about the clean look, and that is a very clean, sharp look. So, and then they had the black helmets as well, not just the black ball caps. Sometimes they'll do the black ball caps, they'll have the red helmets, but they had the black helmets on as well. It looked good, and hey, most importantly, they won in those, so no problem with those whatsoever.
He also asked, as well as Michigan is playing, how do we match up against them? So I'll let you answer since they didn't have time to get to it last hour. And again, Brandon from Omaha, appreciate that text.
Yeah, Michigan can swing it. This is the thing about where Nebraska's schedule, they went through a lot of the top half of the Big Ten, the Iowas, UCLA, and USC's, even Washington's of the world. Washington taking 2 of 3 from Iowa. I think it's another team like what you saw from Northwestern, just a little bit more pitching and probably a little bit more balanced lineup where you can't rest on anybody in their lineup. And I thought Maryland had a little bit of that to an extent. I think they're just a better version, really, of Northwestern and Maryland. It's a winnable series. There's no question about it. But this is going to be going back to when Nebraska played Iowa. This is going to be very similar to how the Hawkeyes look, where they've got a couple studs on the mound, but they also can hurt you anywhere in the lineup. I think it's going to be very similar. I think Iowa is a touch or two better than Michigan, but this Michigan team is very capable. It's a solid team. They can put up runs in a hurry.
We can dive more into that matchup as the week unfolds. Did want to not let the first segment get by without a huge shout out to Husker Nation for setting a couple different records over the weekend for Nebraska softball. We had said going into the weekend that there had never been a sellout at Bolan Stadium, and they sold it out on Saturday, but then it was also the most attended 3-game series in history of the ballpark as well. The season's going to go down as the highest attendance. I mean, it just, Husker Nation, they never cease to amaze. And I put out a tweet about this, or whatever, a post on X about, I don't care what people want to say about, you can bring up Oklahoma softball or LSU baseball. All around, from top to bottom, every sport, nobody supports their sports teams like Husker Nation, and they showed it again this weekend, doing something that's never been done out there at Bolan Stadium, and very much appreciative for a softball team that deserves that kind of attendance and that is playing really well right now.
Right, and I think a lot of those programs that have multiple sports, well, you'll see a fan base that supports them. They typically need a major call to action from athletic directors or from the marketing group, and really trying to push something, whether it's the final home weekend or it's a certain giveaway or a certain guest is going to be there, and there's this major call to action to get the fans involved. I think there is always that ability to call up on Husker fans and say, hey, by the way, could use your support. They respond, but I think a lot of those times they don't even need that call to action. That's the one thing that has always amazed me, but I've now just kind of gotten used to is it's an intelligent, just overall support group. It's an intelligent fan base. They understand when there is a big game. There have been many times at Haymarket Park where you can tell they understand the moment of the game. They can understand certain moments when it's time to get a little bit more rowdy. And so it's not only a group that shows up and supports athletics, but it's an in-tuned fan base as well. And so I think that's where they really separate themselves from a lot of the rest of fan bases throughout the country.
Well, hey, they're clicking on all cylinders now, which is we've been saying that too. And you even asked Coach Revelle about this a couple weeks ago when they beat Northwestern about, there's still some left in the tank, and that I don't even think this team is peaked, but I think maybe you're starting to see that, which is what you want now heading into the Big Ten tournament. And they've been very smart. And I asked Nate Rohr about this, I think last week, just about how they've managed Jordy and the workload. And I think she's feeling pretty good right now. And going in, I think that she's going to be able to carry a really heavy load going into the Big Ten tournament, which I do think this team wants to win. This is a team that's absolutely punched their ticket and done enough. And this is kind of the time of year in baseball and softball conference tournaments. If teams have done enough, a lot of times they'll save the arms. I don't think that's going to be the case for Nebraska softball. I think they're going in there hoping to win this thing.
Right, and what Nate was telling me, and I don't want fans to cling to this hope, because the way Nate broke it down to me is it's a very minor, small chance that it could happen, but the door hasn't been completely shut on Nebraska hosting, too, because of the situation going on with Stanford, where they didn't bid on a regional because they're essentially playing at the football field in a corner of the football field because their softball complex is being completely redone. There's a lot at stake in this Big Ten tournament, and I think the fact that you haven't had a chance to play Oregon, you'd like some redemption against UCLA. I think there's more than enough to motivate this team. Yes, it is true. They could get beat by 25 runs to whoever they play on Thursday. They're still going to make it into the NCAA tournament. But I think this team is extremely hungry. And I don't think you want to have those duds. And this is the one thing, Jessica, I was really impressed with Nebraska over Maryland compared to some of the other top teams that were playing a bit down in the conference this past weekend, where Oregon dropped a game. They played down to their level. I thought Nebraska, going up against a Maryland team that knew their season was over with, they had nothing to play for, and that could be dangerous. That could be a team that is going to throw everything at you. They're going to play with the house money. And as a team, knowing that's your last regular season, you can tend to play down a bit. You can tend to drop your overall level and standard of play, and that didn't happen at all. Nebraska did exactly what they should have against Maryland, so they're going into the postseason on a high note, but I like the way that they took care of business against a team that could tend to drag you down with them. That's a great sign of a team that has one set standard, and they're playing to that standard right now.
And it's probably the best atmosphere Maryland's played in front of all season long, yeah. And the coach even said that. The Maryland head coach is so complimentary about the atmosphere and getting her team some exposure to that, and if you could be fueled by that. So yeah, they handle it. And senior days always, you never know with those emotions how teams are going to handle that. So yeah, they did what they needed to do, and so they end up in a tie for second, but UCLA had the tiebreaker, so Nebraska ends up being the 3 seed in the tournament. The bracket originally was going to have Nebraska playing in the evening session. Because Purdue's the host school, they're on that other side of the bracket. It flipped, so now Nebraska will play at 10 a.m. on Thursday, and it's Penn State and Iowa. The winner of Penn State and Iowa on 10 a.m. on Thursday. We'll dive into that matchup more as the week goes along. Probably have Nate on and throughout this week. But Jordy Ball, again, Big Ten Pitcher of the Week for the 5th time this season, the only Husker to win 6 weekly awards in the same season. I forgot, I was going to look this up, but someone said she scored more runs than she's given up at this point. She's just, she's leading in all kinds of statistics, both at the plate and pitching. Again, I don't know what more we can say about this special player, but she is deserving of all these awards, and you can just tell how much the team loves playing with her, too.
Yeah, there's no question. And you brought up something about the way that they've handled the pitching staff, especially Jordy Ball. And when I was talking to Nate about this morning, he'd mentioned even he was a bit surprised how much Jordy Ball is firing on all cylinders, offensively and in the circle. And when you put into perspective the type of injury that she had to recover from a year ago and the overall time that she put in to physical therapy, the weight room, and just making her body not only right again, but even better than it was before. Like she said in that post when she announced that she was going to be done for the season last year, she said she'd come out of this thing better than she did going in. And I think she's right. I think the numbers would tell you that. But the thing is, she's getting stronger as the season continues. That is a bit of a surprise, I think, to anybody that's ever dealt with that injury, because it's natural to have a little bit of fatigue, and knowing that she's carrying a pretty heavy workload, it would only be human to maybe fall back a little bit or to be feeling it or fighting it a little bit, the fatigue, and she's showing no signs of that whatsoever. That, again, beyond the statistics, which are fantastic for her, I think there's that part of it that is extremely impressive.
So, again, conference tournament play gets set for everybody else on Wednesday. Nebraska gets that bye, so they will start Thursday morning, and then we will find out the postseason on Sunday. So after all the conference tournaments are this week, and so once all that is played out, and as Nick mentioned, I mean, the door's not completely closed on Nebraska hosting. The problem is, and I was going to ask you about this too, because there's been some complaints, really not even just here, but that I've heard from other programs about the RPI and all of that, and just there's just not a lot of opportunities. There hasn't been a lot of opportunities. We've been talking about this now for 3-4 weeks now, which I don't know. I don't know if there's a better way to seed it, but I wish that it went more off of the rankings, because don't you think if Nebraska makes a run through the Big Ten tournament that they are probably going to be closer to that top 16 in the rankings than the RPI, and I just don't know if they're going to be able to get enough help in the RPI.
Yeah, and that's been a problem in college softball. We've seen it in baseball too, where it's so RPI dependent, and there are teams that will go into a season understanding that maybe their conference doesn't give them the best opportunity from an RPI standpoint, so they schedule extremely challenging. Then all of a sudden the teams that you think are going to give you an RPI boost have a down year, and there's nothing you can do about that. There's that example that I brought up the other night when we were talking about this with Minnesota, a team that was essentially ranked number 1 almost all year. This was a handful of years ago, and they didn't even host. They weren't even a top 16 seed. To me, that's atrocious. That is not removing your eyes from the computers of what it's telling you and not looking at the actual product on the field and saying, okay, the computer, this is a nice resource to have. This is a good metric to have. But at some point, you got to look at it like, boy, the team ranked number 1, or it's been 1 and 2 all year long. They're not in the top 16 RPI or top 20 RPI. We should probably look at that team, because I feel like even though the RPI is not telling us that they're one of the best 16 teams, I think our eyes might tell us that, and I think their opponents might tell you, yeah, that's a pretty darn good team. So to me, that's a failure of the system. And I'm not trying to say this just because Nebraska could be part of that, but this is what baseball and softball have dealt with, where I don't think enough of the eyeball test does go into where you're seated. I think you typically get the teams that should be in the tournament into the tournament. But as we know, where you're located, the type of matchups that you get in those types of regionals, those are huge. I mean, that could be the difference between you having a favorable draw to where you could get to a super, or if you're going to be playing a couple of games and your season's over with. I mean, I think the eyeball test, we use it in basketball, we use it now in the college football playoff. I just wish it was applied a little bit more in baseball and softball.
It's just wild to me that, you know, you see the top 16, and then from there it doesn't really matter. And so it's not even not fair to some of these other teams that might be on the fringe, but also, like, if it turns out that, I guarantee you, nobody at Oklahoma wants to see Nebraska in their field for a regional, and pretty much anybody at that point, but just the seeding of overall. It happens like a couple years ago, my first year here, when Nebraska had to go to Arkansas for baseball. That probably wasn't a fair seeding, but with the travel part of it, they don't really seed it in terms of matchups, and you know, the best team right outside of the top 16 should go to the 16th seed, right? But that's not how baseball and softball does it. A lot of it is about travel.
Yeah, and that's exactly right about Nebraska. I think not only did Nebraska get kind of screwed over in 2021, having to go to the overall number 1 seed as what we thought they were one of the top 2 seeds, but it also screwed over Arkansas. Arkansas didn't want to see a team like that, where they're thinking they're going to get one of the lower 2 seeds, and come to find out they're getting one of the better 2 seeds. So there are multiple teams in those scenarios that are like, what the hell's going on here? So and you know how it is. If you can find, okay, there's a storyline there too. Nebraska 2021, there was Dave Van Horn, former Nebraska baseball coach. There was Will Bolt, one of his assistant coaches, and played for Dave Van Horn. So you get that storyline there too. It's amazing that sometimes these just coincidentally happen. You're telling me that there's not a little bit of push. It's like, okay, how about instead of setting up the good storylines, let's use the eyeball test on where these teams should actually play, and if there's any teams that should be hosting that we're leaving off the table just because the RPI says that's your best teams.
All right, we've got to get to a break. More to get to. You heard Camden had this in the ticker, but Troy Dannon has been named to the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. Want to dive into that. A couple other football news that has happened since we've been able to chat with Nick. So want to get to all that on the other side of this. Keep it here on Sports Nightly. And hey, Huskers, shop by your local Hy-Vee, where they've lowered prices on thousands of the items you use every day. Hy-Vee, dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the ninth inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Your next vehicle is waiting for you at Woodhouse. With over 20 locations and a variety of brands, Woodhouse offers everything from reliable trucks to family-friendly SUVs. Whether you're looking for a Nissan, Mazda, or Infiniti, our team is here to help you find the perfect fit. Enjoy a seamless car buying experience with our expert staff and exceptional service. Visit Woodhouse today, where quality, selection, and customer satisfaction come first. Or get started online at woodhouse.com.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Propane is clean, reliable energy for your home, farm, or business, inside and out. With low carbon footprint and ability to keep you powered even when the grid is down, propane delivers when you need it most. Lock in your propane for the 2025-26 season by May 18th and register to win 2 tickets to the College World Series. Visit cvacoop.com or contact your CVA Energy Lead. Our planet is hungry. Together, we feed it. Central Valley Ag, the official co-op of Husker Nation.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the ninth inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Want to boost Nebraska's economy and help the planet? It's as easy as filling up your tank. Switch to soy-based biodiesel to cut greenhouse gases by up to 74% and support biodiesel growth.
I'm Greg Anderson, a farmer near Newman Grove, Nebraska, and biodiesel has transformed our farm. It cuts emissions, raises the cetane number, and improves fuel lubricity.
So ask for biodiesel where you fill up. It benefits our air, economy, and Nebraska soybean farmers. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Your next vehicle is waiting for you at Woodhouse. With over 20 locations and a variety of brands, Woodhouse offers everything from reliable trucks to family-friendly SUVs. Whether you're looking for a Nissan, Mazda, or Infiniti, our team is here to help you find the perfect fit. Enjoy a seamless car buying experience with our expert staff and exceptional service. Visit Woodhouse today, where quality, selection, and customer satisfaction come first. Or get started online at woodhouse.com.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly with Nick Hanley. I'm Jessica Coody. So just got word, we were just talking during the break about the Big Ten Softball Conference Awards. And I'm told that that's coming out on Friday. So he said, I'm guessing BTN will unveil them in a show before the first semifinal, but haven't heard for sure. So don't know. It's not normal, I guess. In the other sports, you hear some of those postseason awards before, but not going to hear those officially till Friday. But we were just Camden, of course, traveled with softball last weekend and said there's an argument on Jordy Ball, which one she should get, Player of the Year or Pitcher of the Year. She should, if she doesn't get one, there should be a riot. She should be either the Player of the Year or the Pitcher of the Year. I don't know how you decide which one, but one of those should be going to Jordy Ball.
Yeah, and it's hard not to say Player of the Year. The numbers in the circle are obviously worthy of Pitcher of the Year, but it's hard not to give her Player of the Year when you look around that conference and you try to see who is a more dynamic player and has meant more to their team's success. And we're talking about a team, as you mentioned in the last segment, was actually, from a win-loss standpoint, tied for second in the conference. Had as many wins as UCLA, but UCLA owns the head-to-head. So you're one of the best teams in the conference, and you've got a player that has been dominant in the circle but has also put up monster historical numbers for a two-way player. So I don't even really know what the argument is here, and that's not to disparage anybody else that's worthy of that award right now, but tell me someone who's done it better than Jordy Ball right now. I'd be hard-pressed to find it. You can't. I agree. And we're not even just being homers. We're just being real here. That's what we do. Okay, so you were you had the day off on Thursday because it's been wild with travel, all of that. But on Thursday, we get the news that the quarterback, Trey Taylor, becomes the first commitment for Nebraska for that 2027 class out of Illinois, one of the top quarterbacks in that class. And, he had done a funny thing with the hats, and I ended up going on social media and apologizing, which I don't think he needed to do, but I think the Illinois fans were not very happy about it. But it's been, we've seen that act before with commitments. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but also he chose Nebraska, so maybe that's why I wasn't as salty about it. But you could already tell a guy that's obviously had a lot already thrown at him and knows how to handle all of it and having a lot of eyeballs on him. But, I had said this on Thursday that typically that first commitment ends up being one of your best recruiters, and he is already full speed ahead on getting guys to come visit Nebraska. Not surprising, but a big commitment there for Nebraska football. It was, and that reason that you just mentioned right there, the peer recruiting, which we know is huge, and then now the high school recruiting part of this, Jessica, with you have to be – you have to find the ones that are going to impact you now. You don't necessarily have the luxury with the number and the roster crunch that you're going to be able to find those developmental guys and have the luxury of time and waiting for them to develop. That's not to say Matt Rule and his staff aren't going to still seek out some of those guys, but you can't do it as much. So you've got to find ready-made players more so than you could before, when you could bring on 20 guys and then, an additional dozen walk-ons. Those days are over. And so when you are able to find an impact recruit, they can peer recruit. He's already talking to a guy who's committed to Ohio State, a 5-star wide receiver. He's trying to pull him over to Nebraska. You need those types of guys. And this isn't to say that this coaching staff doesn't have the ability to do that, but you know it and I know it. When there is peer pressure on where you should go from all angles, when you have one of your own, whether it's a friend that you, either a teammate, a high school teammate of yours, or someone that you went to camp or many camps with, those guys have pretty solid relationships. Well, look what Dylan's done. Absolutely. And think about this too, Jessica. What Dylan could have done if Dylan had, let's say he committed to Nebraska earlier in the process, like when he committed to Georgia. Say that was with Nebraska and he had been committed to Nebraska for that long. The amount of peer recruiting he would have done before he even set foot into spring ball last year. I mean, so it's such a powerful weapon to have. And I think these guys anymore, if they know, they want to get that decision out of the way so they can start helping surround themselves and use their connections, use their resources on top of what the coaching staff of the school that they're going to be going to is going to do. So I think it's huge from that standpoint. I will say this about how the unveiling went down when he says, I'm staying home and I'm going to go to Illinois, and then all of a sudden, nah, and he shows he's got the Nebraska baseball jersey on there too. He says, no, I'm going to actually go to Nebraska. I did put myself into that headspace of, what would we have done if a local Nebraska high school player did that? Said, I'm going to stay home, I'm going to go to Nebraska. Nah, actually, I'm going to go to Ohio State or I'm going to go to Illinois. I do think that student athlete, unfortunately, probably would have caught a lot of grief. I'm with you. I don't think that an apology was necessary, but that was kind of cold-blooded, I got to say, which I don't mind because, hey, you know what? That means the guy's got a little bit of that in him, which is good.
Well, remember, I think, wasn't it Cortez Mills? He actually he said, he went a step further with Oklahoma and then ends up backtracking there. I mean, I feel like it's just kind of part of what they try to trick people because all these people are coming out saying, I know where he's going. Here's the crystal ball. And maybe a little bit taking away from the surprise element of the moment for these kids. So I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe I would feel differently had it been a different situation and the roles are reversed. But, on that note, did get a local kid commitment over the weekend to the second of the class, Jace Reynolds, the linebacker out of Elkhorn North. And, you had brought up a point there, and I was going to get to as well. I'm really interested to see how the high school recruiting is affected by all the roster limits and the settlement and everything moving forward, and now the part of the rev share, how it affects the high school recruiting and how more pointed and strategic you are with the guys that you're getting in the class and just not just here, but across college football, because you have to be more strategic now about those younger, maybe more unproven guys that you're bringing in that you do need to make sure that they're going to be able to come in and play for you because you can't just, give a roster spot away anymore at this point.
Yeah, and I think for what Matt Rule has done, going all the way back to his time at Temple and then in Baylor, and he's done a good job of it, is being able to find some of those players that are a little bit green or a little bit raw, that maybe just started football late, but have skill set, have speed, have things that look like if you can get them over to your program for a year, especially at a place like Nebraska with the resources, the weight room, everything that they have at their disposal, you can develop that person. By the time his redshirt sophomore or junior year kicks in, he's going to be an impact player. Well, can you do that now? And I think there's still going to be an element of that, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as many or as big of a priority. And that's just me. Because of the numbers. I don't know that to be true. I haven't had a conversation with Matt Rule about this, but I would think that every coach, because Matt Rule's not the only one, that you take pride in finding some of those developmental guys, you bring them in your program where no one else seemed to want them, and all of a sudden they flourish under your teachings. That's a pride thing. You feel great about that, but I think you have to limit that now because I think there is going to be a lot more of that pressure to find those ready-made players. You're doing that in the transfer portal. That's why you got the transfer portal, to get the ready-made guys that can come right over and impact in that upcoming season. I think you got to start looking at those high school players. And Matt Rule said, I mean, this is one thing where I don't think it's going to be completely off the beaten path for him. When they evaluate talent in high school, they're looking for guys that they think can play at the next level, meaning the NFL. So it's just how quickly can you get those guys to that level, to that impact. And I think that tweaks things a little bit on how you do maybe evaluate.
I'll counter you a little bit because I have had some conversations with a few members of the staff since they got here and ones that have been with him along the way. They had to do it differently at Baylor because it was in shambles when they took over. So they had to recruit different kinds of players. And then the developmental part is still going to be part of it. But I think they have realized that they can target those bigger, maybe higher recruits in a way that they were not able to do in the past at Temple and Baylor. So I think they have actually evolved in that where they know that now they're always going to say we want to develop. That's one of the most important pillars of what Matt Rule does in his program. It's always going to be about development. I just think they are able to maybe target guys that are further along in the process and then develop those kinds of guys as opposed to finding those diamonds in the rough, which he still absolutely will do. There's no doubt about it. But I just think it's a different targeted approach to recruiting than they were. They are afforded a different luxury in that here at Nebraska than they were at Baylor and at Temple.
And that's fair. I would say this, that what they already do in evaluating high school players is pretty much what they're going to continue to do. And they're still looking for those elite players. They're still looking for the 5 and the 4-star players. But I think there is that other part of the high school talent pool that they are intrigued by that maybe aren't getting the same type of offers as the majority of the guys that they're offering. And maybe you have to limit that a little bit. I don't know. Maybe you don't. I mean, it all comes down to how quickly can those guys develop. I mean, there's certain guys that maybe they started playing high school football their freshman or sophomore year in high school, and all of a sudden they just kind of hit the ground running. And they're just naturally understanding of what it takes physically and mentally to play at a high level. And so it doesn't take as much development as it might with somebody else who is not that far along. So I do think that there's just going to be a slight tweak because, and this is the one thing we know about this coaching staff, and especially Matt Rule, is when there have been changes thrown at the way you have to do things to be successful, he pivots with the best of them, and he can evolve with the best of them. So I don't think this is a major evolution. I think you're probably more right about they've already been kind of doing this anyway, so I don't think a much of it changes. Maybe there's a guy or two, though, you have to move on from because he may not be able to impact you, and you got to look at how you can fill that roster spot with the most value that can help you right now.
All right, got to get to another break here on Sports Nightly. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. More of the show coming up after this.
Husker fans, it's game day, and Pizza Hut's got your perfect play. Score the game day special for just $29.99. Get 2 medium 3-topping pizzas, 8 boneless wings, and 5 breadsticks. Enough to feed 8 hungry fans. Pizza, wings, breadsticks, and more. It's the ultimate lineup to fuel your game day. Check out the full menu online at pizzahut.com or in store. Because remember, no one out-pizzas the Hut.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Noddle Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Noddle Hospitality's latest venture in Aksarben Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Noddle Services. These are the Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
Nebraska Lottery.
Hey, I heard Trucks and Bucks is back.
Yes, sir. And this year you could win one of 8 new gray trucks. People from around the state just love this game.
They do?
You bet. Just this morning, I got calls from excited players in Burwell, Sutton, Fall City, and Ralston.
Well, you can add Wilbur to the list.
You're from Wilbur?
No, that's my name.
Oh.
Hey, if you get a call from Alma, that's my aunt.
That's her name?
No, that's where she lives.
Trucks and Bucks top prize odds are 1 in 336,000.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the 9th inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
Welcome inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center. I'm Jessica Coody, and joined by a couple of special guests from here on campus at UNL. Excited to be joined by Tony Rathgaber, the Chief of Staff and Associate to the Vice Chancellor, and Dee Dee Anderson, the Vice Chancellor for Student Life. Thank you both for being here with us today.
We're happy to be here.
Well, Vice Chancellor Anderson, this is your second year here at UNL. What has been the student life? What's the student life been like here at UNL, and what surprised you, I guess, about Husker students?
Yeah, so this is my second year, and it's just been a great experience. I'm not from Nebraska, so it's been a lot of fun learning all things Nebraska and learning about what it means to be a Husker. And our students are just amazing. They're super engaged in campus, and they're so proud to be here and be part of the Big Red family.
That is awesome. Well, I know you've spoken a lot about the Husker Student Power Initiative. Yeah. Can you explain the meaning behind that initiative for our listeners?
Yeah, so for us, the Husker Student Power, we, of course, played off on Husker Athletics and the pride that students have with that. And for us, it is a way to define the student experience and talk about how, as a student, you would matriculate through the campus and what kind of experiences you should have while on our campus.
What are some of the campus resources that have been meaningful in helping students in their journey towards Husker Power?
So Husker Power, first of all, stands for the P is purpose, O is ownership, W is well-being, E is engagement, and R is relationship. So we say if a student engages in our campus and does all of those things, finds their purpose, owns their experience, takes care of themselves, engages and builds relationships, they will be successful. So we have a wide variety of resources on campus that can help a student through that Husker Power experience. So you think about the individual letters, and you think about counseling services, you think about campus rec, you think about registered student organization and our SLICE group, and all the things, housing and dining, just all the things that a student would engage in outside of the classroom. Those are the things in student life that we provide for students.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I know you guys are introducing the Big Red Finale. Yeah. It's an event with the Big Red Welcome. Can you talk about the significance of this event and what it means for the Huskers as they finish the academic year?
Yeah, so this is a new event. We do Big Red Welcome, as many people know, and we decided that we really wanted to have something to culminate the year. So students throughout the year have had great experiences, and this is a way and a time for them where they can de-stress, they can have a little bit of fun, they can reflect on their year and all the things that they learned throughout the year, and they can really mentally and physically just start to prepare for finals. And it's a way to help them be successful in that last stressful week of school.
That's great. Well, Tony, you're up now. Can you tell us about this blood drive? You saw huge success recently with the We Give Blood Drive competition. How did Husker students show up to give to this initiative?
You know, it was a great effort, not only by our students, but for fans and alums all across the state that helped contribute to us overall winning this competition. And, you know, if you look at our fight song, we all stick together in all kinds of weather, right? And this is a great example of Huskers showing up for other Huskers.
I feel like we've seen it too. When you challenge Husker Nation, they always show up, right?
We love to compete.
Oh, that's great. Well, what will be the impacts from the blood drive that you guys will see from this?
Yeah, this award provides $1 million to the institution to advance student and community health and well-being. And so this is a terrific opportunity, right? You don't often have $1 million fall in your lap unexpectedly, and so we're going to take advantage of every penny of that and have developed a plan to really have the most impact from this gift.
How will you go about figuring out how you're going to distribute the $1 million?
Yeah, we put a lot of thought into that, and we want to really lean into the institution's research background, our mission to serve the state of Nebraska. So we've developed 4 components that are part of this plan. The first 2 components are actually grants that faculty and staff can apply for that would advance student or community health and well-being both across the state and on our campus. You earlier heard Dee Dee mention our recognized student organizations and clubs, and so the third way is money that we're offering up to those recognized student organizations and clubs to promote student health and well-being as well. students know what students need, right? And so we're gonna give them control over spending that and help us contribute to the impact. And then the last way is through a new initiative we have called the Wellbeing Collective, which is a group of people who work in different departments all across campus who have come together, all focused on providing really holistic wraparound services for well-being. And they're going to have about half of the award to spend in ways throughout the campus to help students.
Not bad news to receive that you got $1 million to try to figure out what to do with.
It feels a little bit like winning the lottery.
I guess being that you are involved with the students, how proud does that make you that they wanted to get involved with this and Nebraska ends up winning?
Oh, it was so much fun during this event. We would see the commercial on the Big Ten Network about the blood drive, and I would go on the website and say, yes, we're still in first place, we're still winning. So, students here and our faculty and staff and alum, they truly care about each other. And it's just a lot of fun to see that being recognized and see that people are willing to give in lots of different ways to others. And it just makes us proud to be Huskers.
Because Nebraska didn't just win, they ran away with it, right? We kind of dominated the competition, right?
Of course we did. And we plan to again if they do it again. We're excited about it. It was just, I think it's a good experience for students to see their impact and to have the ability to say, I can help someone. And it's not hard, right? It wasn't hard to do. And now we'll get to be able to celebrate that throughout the year with the gift that Abbott gave us.
Oh, that's great. Well, what else do our listeners need to know about the student life here on campus at UNL?
The student life is continuing to thrive. We've had a great year. Our students are amazing, incredible. They achieve in the classroom, outside of the classroom, on the playing field, and they really embody what we believe in, that every student and every interaction and every person matters, and our students are living that every day on our campus.
Awesome. Great stuff. Thank you both for being here with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Again, Dee Dee Anderson, Vice Chancellor for Student Life, and Tony Rathgaber, the Chief of Staff and Associate to the Vice Chancellor, joining us here in studio. We got to step aside for a break. More from Sports Nightly coming up on the other side of this.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Also, I should have mentioned earlier when we were talking about softball and the Big Ten tournament, we are going to put them here on the network. They're on every game on the app and Huskers.com, but we're going to carry them here on the network starting this week and probably throughout the postseason as long as it doesn't interfere with baseball. So you can listen on your favorite local radio affiliate affiliates, hopefully, coming up this week. Hey, Huskers, shop by your local Hy-Vee where they've lowered prices on thousands of the items you use every day. Hy-Vee dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier. Okay, final few minutes left here of hour number 2 of Sports Nightly. This hour has flown by. I haven't even had a chance to dive into some of the big news of today that Troy Dannon is going to be serving on the college football playoff selection committee. Saw some people commenting more Big Ten bias, but this is big just to have a guy that's in one of those important rooms, and he's been in the right rooms that was one of the first things that people had said about him. He's on the right committees and just having the right conversations with the right people, and here is another instance of Troy Dannon being in one of those really important rooms for college football.
Yeah, and I think for Troy Dannon, it makes a lot of sense if you look at his track record and if you go all the way back to his time at Northern Iowa. I mean, this is a guy that has been part of committees. He's been part of the improvement and the evolution of college football and the way that college football and at the highest level is conducted. So I think when you have more minds like that, all you would have to have told me is if there was a guy that had the same type of track record as a Troy Dannon, regardless of his affiliation with the University of Nebraska, I would say, well, that sounds like a good person that you should have on that committee. As we were just talking a little bit about what college baseball and college softball do when it comes to a selection process, I just think that you have minds that need to be utilized of watching not only the sport itself change and how it's going to impact, but also people that have different perspective because they've come from different conferences, but they've been on committees. They've come from different levels of the competition itself, from FCS to FBS, too. So I think there's a very unique perspective, but I think a more than qualified perspective that Troy Dannon brings.
All right, so just a couple minutes left. Creighton tomorrow, the final game of the series, 6 o'clock. You guys will be on the pregame show at 5:30. How are we feeling about this one the third time around?
I always look forward to this game, but I think tomorrow it's going to have a little extra sauce to it. It's Ed Service's last one against Nebraska. Longtime Creighton coach, 22 years there. It's going to be very weird watching that game without Ed Service in the dugout anymore down the third baseline after this one tomorrow. But I think the way it ended in downtown Omaha, there was a little bit of back and forth, a little trash talking going back and forth, especially on that final out. That Creighton got Nebraska in Lincoln. Being able to finish the series, very rare to finish the series in Lincoln. I think the Huskers are definitely going to have a little bit more extra, under their backside for this one. I think this one will have a pretty big. It'll have a big game atmosphere, but I think they're pretty fired up for it.
All right, last minute here. You got some grips that can help you. Maybe you and Ben, strengthen the handshake, but also maybe can help you through some of the frustrations that you sometimes feel calling some of these games.
That was actually at the Creighton-Nebraska game, too, when we were in downtown Omaha. I can't even tell you how we brought that up, how that the hand strengtheners,
Ben
the hand grip strengtheners.
Tell him to tell the story tomorrow on the pregame show or at some point in the game. He remembered it.
Oh, I do remember. It was because catching the ball with one hand said he must have the strongest hands. He must use one of those hand strengtheners. That's what it was. And then all of a sudden, I had to look up because I thought they'd have some really clever name. No, that was the name of them. And we found out that you could buy them in bulk, like 75 of them for like $300. So
shout out Shane, one of the OGs in the chat. He sent those especially for you and Ben that you guys will have for tomorrow. So you have a fun toy in the booth from here on out.
Yes. As Shane said, we'll have the strongest handshake in the state of Nebraska.
And maybe it will help your golf game, too.
Yeah, maybe. It can't hurt.
All right, so we're off the air tomorrow for baseball against Creighton. We're back for a full 2 hours Wednesday and Thursday. Have a great night. And Ben and Nick will talk to you tomorrow for Husker baseball.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
For farmers, sustainability is a way of life. 97% of farms are family-owned, and 95% are participating in conservation programs and using sustainable practices.
I'm Ann Meese, a farmer near Elgin, Nebraska. I grew up on this land, and we're dedicated to being good stewards and leaving it better for the next generation.
Since 1980, U.S. soybean farmers have boosted production by 130%, all while lowering emissions and improving land and water use. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
Propane is clean, reliable energy for your home, farm, or business, inside and out. With low carbon footprint and ability to keep you powered even when the grid is down, propane delivers when you need it most. Lock in your propane for the 2025-26 season by May 18th and register to win 2 tickets to the College World Series. Visit cvacoop.com or contact your CVA Energy Lead.